Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today I am so very excited to be with His Holiness Svayam Bhagavan Keshava Maharaja. He's my favorite. And he's the youngest sannyasi within ISKCON. Believe it or not, he just took sannyas 2 years back and he's still in early 40s. And Maharaj is from UK. He born in UK. His parents is from India, Gujarat. And Maharaj now, after taking sannyas, especially Maharaj is traveling all over the world. So earlier he was in Kenya, now US, after this he's going to Africa. So continuously he's traveling now 12 months in a year. And it's so very rare to have time with Maharaj. And he still took time to record this podcast. I'm so very happy. By the way, Maharaj born in the UK and he likes to play cricket. Actually, he was a professional cricketer somehow. I mean, we'll discuss this more about during this podcast, hopefully. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for taking your time and be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu. It's an honor to be on your channel. We've watched from a distance in London all the amazing videos, the yoga of love, and how you're really making spirituality relevant for the people of the time. And I think this is a great contribution to the world.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I just repeat whatever I learned from your and other devotees. So that's all I'm doing. But thank you so much, Maharaj. Dear devotees, before we move forward, I want to introduce here Maharaj website, which is keshwaswami.com. You can see his books and other information here. You can also see the link for all his social media channels. Maharaj team is very active on social media. And specifically, he has 2 YouTube channels. One is SB Keshava Swami, which is more for the Western audience. And another one is Wisdom That Breathes. And this mainly has more of a devotional content, like Maharaj give talks on the temple or congregation. All those recordings are available here. Maharaj is also very active on Instagram. I'm going to put all these links in the description, so please feel free to explore them. Now, in this podcast, I'm going to ask Maharaj some very interesting questions like, what was his first encounter with ISKCON, or, what he would be today if he were not a devotee. And how is his spiritual journey? He's been practicing devotee from last more than 2 decades. So what are his realizations? Anything, we can learn from these realizations and we can apply or help in our devotional life or understanding the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Now, you also have a homework and you need to let us know what you really learned from this podcast. So please do mention this in the comment, and hopefully we all can also learn by reading each of the comments about their learning or understanding or takeaway from this podcast. So without a delay, let's get started. I'm going to start with what was your first encounter with ISKCON? I mean, who was the first devotee you looked at, first time, and what was his experience, with some ISKCON devotee?
Yes, I grew up in London, so I grew up not far away from Bhaktivedanta Manor. Mm-hmm. And practically since I was born, I was going to the Manor and always going for the aartis, the festivals, and all the different events that were there. But one interesting thing is, through my life, I never really spoke to a devotee. I was going to the temple, and many people do this. They come to a Hare Krishna temple for many, many years, but they never actually speak to any of the devotees. But when I was about 15, for the first time, they took me up to one of the rooms, and I asked, can I meet one of the monks, the brahmacharis? And
you had some questions?
I had many questions,
okay.
Yeah. And I had one question which I was sure nobody would be able to answer.
Okay.
And that question was, if there's one God, why are there so many different religions? I was convinced nobody could answer this question. So I sat in front of this one brahmachari and I began asking my questions. And I was amazed because every single question he kind of just answered it perfectly. And then I came out of that room and I said, this Hare Krishna philosophy there's something amazing here. And I think that was the beginning of my deeper journey.
Thank you, Maharaj. I also had kind of similar things. Earlier, somehow I see that, this is my experience also. We think that, we have questions which no one can answer. We have and we have, I'm able to think about those questions which no one else able to think about. Yeah. We don't know that how intelligent people are actually there in the spiritual life, how scholar they are, how knowledgeable they are. Yeah. Because we have not encountered that. That's why we think that I have thought about something which no one else ever have thought about it. So yes, thank you much. But by the way, who was that brahmachari?
His name, at that time he was a brahmachari, his name was Pradyumna.
Pradyumna, okay.
Yeah, and he's living in Leicester now, and he's the temple president there. Okay. And actually I joined the ashram because I wanted to be with him.
Okay.
So, but then what happened is literally just before I joined the ashram, he changed ashram.
Okay. Okay.
So I came in as a brahmachari and then he made a transition, but we still have a very good relationship, and he's a great inspiration for me.
Wonderful, Maharaj. Maharaj, is there anything in your life which you wanted to do, but because you joined Bhakti, now you feel that it's not a good thing, and then you're not doing it? For example, just to give my example, I used to play a lot of video games when I was in my school. And I had a dream that, when I will be earning, I will have a big screen TV. In front of that, I will have a big sofa and I will play, video game. Because at that time there was a study pressures, parents were not allowing me. But then, in my girl's life, no one will be stopping me. But now after even I don't have TV, forget about the video game. So is there anything in your life?
Yeah, I grew up in a family which was cricket mad.
Okay.
So my dad, he named me and my brother after cricketers. My brother was named after Sunil Gavaskar and I was named after Sandip Patil.
Oh,
interesting. And so we grew up watching cricket, all the matches on TV. When the World Cup would happen, my dad would even take us to the matches. We even did pitch invasions at some point as well. We did so many, we were so integrated with cricket, and I was playing a lot of cricket. So I had a dream in my life that maybe I will become an amazing cricketer. Okay. And then what I would sometimes do is in my house, I would throw the ball against the wall and then, hit it. And then imagine I'm hitting the six to win the World Cup. And so I had a great dream that I would be a cricketer, and the buzz, the energy, like the whole crowd being one together, it moved my heart a lot. And of course, when I came to Krishna consciousness, the devotees said, no, you shouldn't waste time in sports, know. So then I wasn't playing cricket so much, and somehow that dream never came about to be a cricketer. But the good thing is that in Krishna consciousness, I think I experienced the same thing, the buzz, the energy, the adventure, everyone being together in one voice. I experienced that in a different way. Yeah, but cricket became Krishna.
Do you still follow sometimes the highlights of cricket, what's going on, or you don't get time?
Now I think it's just cricket is another world now. There's so many matches, so many different formats. I think now they don't even play as many test matches and things. I think it's changed a lot. So nowadays I'm quite out of touch. Yeah. But my dad, he reminds me now and again. I think the World Cup is coming up, so he's going to watch it as well in India. Yeah.
Yeah, recently I heard that there was some India-Pakistan match, I think. It was big, I guess, and then India won it. So in social media, I was seeing some post that I said, okay, good.
Yeah.
So basically, if you would not be a sannyasi at this time, probably would be a cricketer. Should I say that?
I may have become a cricketer. Of course, my parents were also concerned that if I would play too much cricket, then I wouldn't study.
Okay.
So they were also encouraging me to, have a proper job in the corporate world. And so I guess if I didn't become a monk and, didn't make it as a cricketer, I'd probably be an investment banker or a management consultant or something of that nature. I think I would have probably gone in the line that most people go in.
Yeah. I also feel that you have good analytical mind. I mean, the way you have written the books also. For example, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the way you analyze the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how you break that down. So, I mean, I could feel that, I could sense that you have that intellectual to analyze carefully things and have a deeper understanding of anything. So, yeah, I could relate that why you want to be a professional banker.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at school, my favorite subject was maths. And I liked maths because it was very logical. You could put things in structures, systems. There was a formula for everything. So now when I present spiritual life, then I try to bring in some of that mathematical mind and make it logical for people, make it systematic, make it organized. And sometimes in that organization, it helps people to grasp what is otherwise a very complex philosophy. So yeah, I try to use that mathematical intelligence, whatever
to explain Chaitanya Lila.
Yeah.
But that is so good. Yeah, if someone is in hurry and they want to start understanding what exactly in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can refer Maharaj book. I think that is free download, I guess.
It's a free download, Chaitanya Charitamrita Compact.
Yeah,
yes.
Compact. And I think I read that book. I'm not able to remember. I think 50, 60 pages maybe?
Yeah, it's a short book, 100 pages.
100 pages. And then within that, you will get full understanding of Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is awesome book, Maharaj. So Maharaj, sometimes since you have this analytical mind, you keep analyzing things and keep contemplating on different philosophical points. Is there anything which you realized after many years of your bhakti that now I know, I should have done like this. I was doing this wrong throughout my journey. Now I understand what bhakti is or what this is, and I wish I would know this before.
Yeah, I think there are many, many things like that. I recently gave a talk entitled 4 Mistakes That I Made in My Spiritual Journey. And I think of those 4 mistakes or things I would do differently, I think the most major one is that I feel in my spiritual life, I didn't take the guidance of devotees enough. I like devotees. I had a good relationship with them. I was friendly with everyone, but I was very careful in my spiritual life to keep a little bit of distance and not allow them to become too close to my life and not open myself too much to their advice. But I thought they're good. I listen to them from a distance, but I know what I need to do. I know what the best decisions are. And therefore, I'll take inspiration from them, but I will lead my own life. And later on, what I realized is when I allowed devotees to guide me, I allowed devotees to give me feedback, which sometimes was difficult to take. I allowed the devotees to say to me, this is what you want to do, but maybe there's a better way to do it. And they would challenge me. Then what actually happened is I started realizing there are bigger opportunities in spiritual life that they're opening up for me. And I think my own spiritual master, His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj, he was able to do that because somewhat I let him come into my life. I opened myself up. And then he began opening up a vision for my life that otherwise I would never have had. So I often tell people to always benefit from the association of devotees and try to have at least 1 or 2 Vaishnavas in your life who can guide you with love and compassion. And that will really transform your spiritual journey.
Sometimes I feel that devotees have attachment with something, particular service or something, and they feel that, if they go to the senior devotee, they may ask them to do something else. So better just keep distance. This is the way I want to do it. This is the way I want to study. This is the way I want to do service. So do you think that this may be?
Yeah, definitely. We keep a distance because we're scared that They may tell us to do something that we can't do, or they may tell us to do something we don't want to do, or they may tell us to do something which is very difficult, and therefore we tend to try to keep a little bit of a distance. But the idea is that when you meet Vaishnavas who you have trust in and who know you very well, then they can actually open up other ways of thinking and living spiritual life, and they can push you out of the comfort zone.
Yeah. I think somewhere we all have this responsibility to find this one Vaishnava, senior Vaishnava, even though it's difficult, other Vaishnavas should have time for you. You should have a commitment and kind of surrender to him. One who understands you, your nature, and you understand him and you believe in him. So it's not easy also. I mean, each one of us has responsibility to make an effort to find someone to have that relationship, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And I think relationships, it doesn't come overnight like this. Sometimes we're looking for some magical person that we connect with from day one. But what we need to do is see Vaishnavas who we trust, who we're inspired by, and then begin a relationship and see which relationships mature into something much more closer and intimate. And then what will happen is naturally you'll be free to open your heart in that relationship.
Exactly. And this is also somehow related to my next question. I see that sometimes devotees join ISKCON or any organization or bhakti in general, and they read about the Goswamis, they read about those aesthetic symbols, and then tears in eyes and rolling on the ground. And they feel like after practicing bhakti for a few weeks, few months, or in fact few years, they will be feeling those emotions. But we know that it's not easy to reach to that level to feel those emotions. And then after practicing bhakti for a few years, somehow it's fade away. Things started looking boring. Sometimes they leave the bhakti. So what do you think? How can someone sustain longer and have more realistic understanding of bhakti? They have to practice bhakti for 10, 20, 30, depends on at what age they join bhakti. But what do you think that, how can someone sustain for longer in bhakti?
Yeah, these symptoms are there. The hair standing on end, the skin burning, the tears rolling from the eyes. One devotee said, I'm getting all of these symptoms, but then I realized I had the flu. So these symptoms are not so cheap, they are very high, and they come only in someone who has purified the heart. Now, what we have to realize is that even if we are not experiencing the highest symptoms, what we should be able to experience in our life is progression. In Krishna consciousness, we may not be rolling on the ground, but at least what we can do is look back at when we had our material life and say, compared to that, is so much better now. And if I continue practicing with patience and determination, it can also get so much better. In the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, a beautiful analogy is given. Bhakti pareshan ubhavo viraktir anyatra chesha trika eka kalaha prapadyamanasya yathashnata shush tusti pushtik shud apayonughasham. It's explained that when you eat, then three things happen. The first thing is you feel some pleasure to the tongue. The second thing that happens is the body becomes energized. And the third thing that happens is that one experiences a detachment from hunger. So in the same way, when we practice bhakti, even if we don't get ecstatic symptoms, we should know that the process is working if, number one, we feel a different type of pleasure in our life that we weren't getting in material life.
Correct.
Then we should be encouraged. The second thing is, just as when we eat, we get nourishment, we get an experience. So sometimes as devotees, we may not be seeing Krishna all the time, but we will experience the presence of Krishna, the arrangements of Krishna. They asked one devotee, have you seen Krishna's face? And the devotee said, I haven't seen Krishna's face, but I see his hand every single day. So we experience Krishna's hand in our life. That's an encouraging symptom. And the third thing is, just as when you eat, you feel detachment from hunger. So when we practice Krishna consciousness, we feel detachment from material things. The things that we were so excited and captured by years ago, now we kind of feel, yeah, I don't need those things anymore. And that detachment shows that you're advancing. So the good news is that even if you don't feel the Asta Sattvika Bhavs, the 8 ecstatic symptoms, at least you can experience these things and understand, yes, I'm advancing.
Right. Yes, Maharaj, very good answer. And in fact, I remember that I was hearing once Chaitanya Chan Prabhu, and he mentioned quite similar thing. He said, if you feel depressed, then look back at how far you have come.
Yes.
Compare yourself from last 2 years or 3 years.
Yes.
If you feel proud, just look ahead. Look at your acharyas, look at the senior devotees, that how much they are contributing, how they are sacrificing their life, then immediately feel humble. You're nothing, you're just insignificant.
Yeah. And I also realized, one devotee, he said to me, joining Krishna consciousness is like joining the mafia.
I heard that. I think I heard from Amrinder Prabhu, I guess, this year.
He said, you can't leave because you know too much. Too much inside information. And I experienced this in my life, that even devotees who said, I'm not experiencing, I don't feel connection in Krishna consciousness, even if for some time they moved away from devotees or gave up, they never quite left the movement. Because when you'd speak to them, they'd still be talking about Krishna, they'd still be talking about Gita, they'd still be saying, like, what are all the devotees doing? They couldn't forget.
Yes.
And so my spiritual master said, there's only 2 options. Either you become a happy devotee or a miserable devotee.
Okay.
But devotee you will remain.
Once you know, you cannot escape.
Because and it shows that material life, it doesn't work. So sometimes we tell people, spiritual life is difficult, but material life is impossible.
Impossible, yeah. No, you rightly mentioned that once you know too much, you know your identity, you know this body, you know the purpose of life. Even if you want to go back to material, you will not enjoy that. Every moment you will know, you will feel that guilty. You know that what is right thing to do, still you're not doing it. Yeah. And I think there's some philosophical term here that if you're not doing the right thing, which you know, you always keep that, you always have that guilty in your heart. So, yes, Maharaj, thank you so much for a wonderful answer. Maharaj, when you joined Bhakti, was it very smooth for you, or you had some attachment for small things? Sometimes, for example, I see that my wife, she used to eat a lot of Maggies, and they have this onion garlic in their masala. So she was very sad that, I have to leave this. Some small attachments, small or big attachments. So how was your journey? Was it very smooth or?
Yeah, I guess when I was 21, I joined as a brahmachari.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not easy.
Mm-hmm.
For the first 6 months of my brahmachari life, I lived in Chowpatty and Mumbai. And, there was a serious temple, very strict devotees, very high standards. And here I was very new, in one sense, to the ashram. And so it was difficult living in the ashram, waking up early, sleeping on the floor.
So it was 19 years at that time, 20 maybe? Around?
I was 21 at that time.
Yeah,
I was 21. And I remember one day I was in the Bhagavatam class and I had this moment of crisis. I was like, my God, have I just been brainwashed? I really felt maybe I had just become brainwashed because my life had it was very different.
Shifted suddenly, yeah.
And then, of course, there were challenges in the family. Because, when you have a degree and when you have the opportunity to earn money in the world, but then you walk away from it all and live in an ashram, this is like shocking for your family. And I'm sure many of our viewers have this experience of how difficult it is with family members. So that was also like a big obstacle that I had to overcome. And then habits, I guess I was following the principles and
But
things
decent.
like that was pretty okay for me. I didn't have so much trouble with that. But I guess one thing I did miss was having my own private space. You know, when you live in Chaupati, when you live in any brahmachari ashram, you're constantly surrounded by devotees. And we like devotees, but sometimes you also need some breathing space, you know. And in Chaupati, there was no like inch for like your own private time. Everywhere you'd be with devotees, you know, from sleeping to in the shower to in the temple room, and there was no free space. So, but over time we realized this was also very beautiful because we learned so many things from devotees. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I have another very interesting question. In your spiritual journey, you know, we keep learning. Daily we attended classes, we do our sadhana, and slowly we keep learning, we keep growing, we keep getting mature in our understanding of bhakti. But sometimes there is, you know, siksar. Sometimes, you know, suddenly we get something and we realize that, oh wow, you know, and that significantly change our acceleration or our growth in bhakti. We took it very seriously. You know, this is that moment. You know, I remember that once I was in Mayapur and I was hearing Bhagavatam class of His Holiness Kadam Kanana Maharaj. Even though I've heard this many times, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes only when Krishna comes and is only once in one kalpa, you know, 1000 Divya Yuga, only once. I mean, philosophically, I know this. But when Maharaj mentioned that, I don't know how it immediately entered into my heart. And for next many hours, I was keep thinking about this, how serious this is. How I'm so fortunate that I'm getting all this knowledge. I'm here at the right moment, at the right time. Everything is in front of me, you know. So that actually quite significantly pushed my life into seriousness of bhakti. So do you have any moment, anything which you remember that's suddenly changed your life, or at least?
Yes. It's funny you should ask that question. Here we are today, we're recording this on Radhastami. And Radhastami day was always a mystical time for me, because I can recount in the history of my journey, on Radhastami day there were many turning points. Radharani, her mercy was always very powerful. And when I was 21 and I was thinking of joining the ashram and it was very difficult, then there was our temple president in London. His name was Shruti Dharma Prabhu. He's passed away now. And he was a great mentor for me and a great inspiration. And as I was contemplating, should I do it, should I not do it, we were in the room and he said, today is Radhastami. And Srimati Radharani, she is the one who will grab your hand and take you to Krishna. So now you have to take shelter of Srimati Radharani. And then he looked at me and he said, don't just be scared about what could go wrong, but start getting excited about what could go right. And he said, don't let your decisions reflect your fears, but let your decisions reflect your dreams. And then he looked at me and said, don't live your life with regrets. And then he looked at me and said, today is Radhastami, and today you have to give your heart to the mission that you're meant to fulfill in this life. And he said, be bold, be strong, and be courageous, and take a risk for Krishna. And then the final thing he said to me, you've given so many lives to Maya. Now just give one life to Krishna and see what happens. So he gave me this beautiful, you know...
Directly looking at you?
Directly. And it penetrated my heart. And this was on Radhastami day. And I walked out of the room and I knew on this journey there are going to be many obstacles, but I have to take this journey. And that gave me great conviction. So, Yeah, Radhastami Day is always a very reflective day for me. And I wait on this day because I know some inspiration will come from Srimati Radharani
Yes,
on this
Maharaj.
path. Yeah.
Yes, please pray for all of us, Maharaj, that we also get similar inspiration, get to hear something. I mean, I'm having this opportunity to hear from you. So, yes, Radharani is very merciful. Sometime did she interfere in your journey? I mean, somewhere you felt that, this could not have done. This is not possible. She is directly interfering me.
Yeah, sometimes she arranged devotees to come. Sometimes she broke attachments. Sometimes she arranged some incredible experience. And sometimes she played many jokes as well, I can see. Like once I joined the ashram, and of course it was difficult, as I've been mentioning. And so one thing I never wanted to do was go on Harinam. Because I didn't want to make like a public, all my friends may see me, family. I didn't want to, so every single week the devotees would go on Harinam and I would make some excuse like, no, I can't, I have some service. For months I was avoiding going on Harinam. And then one day they told me, no, today you must come on Harinam. So I was making all types of excuses. And then the devotee said to me, look, don't worry, we're going to Cambridge, where the university was. And that was like 2 hours away from London.
Okay.
So I thought, anyway, 2 hours away, who will meet me anyway? I won't see anyone. And then what happened is I got into the van and then we were driving. And as we got onto the motorway, there was a huge traffic jam. So the devotee said, now if we go to Cambridge, it will take too many hours. We have to just go Harinam here.
Right now, yeah. Okay.
I said, no, I only came because we're going 2 hours away. He said, no. And then he said, the closest town is Wembley. I said, I was born in Wembley. That's my hometown. They said, what to do? There's a traffic jam. It must be Krishna's arrangement, Radharani's arrangement. So there it was, my first major Harinam. I was going out and I was going in my backyard, my hometown. And all throughout the Harinam, I was really like... So it was funny how she arranged me. I think sometimes Krishna, Srimati Radharani, they make you face your attachments. And when you face them, you realize actually it's not so hard. We can overcome it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Can I quickly share my small experience? Yeah. We have Tulsi Maharani Viva every year. And every year, one couple, they become parents of Tulsi Maharani and do the Kanya Dan. So once we both were doing that. And then we have a list that what we all have to buy as a parent, like sari and all these jewelries and everything. So we bought almost everything, but there's one bangle which we couldn't find earlier. And then later we got so busy and somehow we couldn't arrange that. Now we are going to the Tulsi Maharani Viva, and then we both were fighting that, how is it can be possible? We should have do that. She was telling me that why you forget, why you don't do things. I said, this is your responsibility. How can I get the jewelries? And somehow we reached to the temple. Now there's nothing can be done. We're already late now. Whatever it is, it is. And we went there. We sit into the yajna, and then it was about to start. And suddenly one devotee came from the behind and said, Prabhuji, this is for you. This is please offer to Tulsi Maharani. And then when we opened it, it was a bangle.
Wow.
So we both were so amazed at how Tulsi Maharani is so merciful. We both were feeling bad. She maybe wanted to feel us comfortable, that okay, and then she directly interfered. And that was amazing experience for both of us, that how they care us so much. They love us so much as a
Krishna
child.
is so much present, and, Srimati Tulsi Maharani, Radharani. One interesting thing happened to me. What I would do in the ashram is every evening before I would go to sleep, at one point I was reading a Gita verse. So on one particular evening, I was literally lying down to go to sleep, and I opened the Gita, and I opened it to 15:15.
Okay.
So there Krishna says, Mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Krishna says, from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So I was reading this verse and I was thinking, yeah, knowledge, that makes sense. Remembrance, Krishna reminds us. But forgetfulness, what does it mean that Krishna makes us forget? So I was thinking about this. How does Krishna make us forget? This question was on my mind. And then what happened is I went to sleep. And in the morning, my mobile phone alarm went off. So I switched the alarm off. And on my mobile phone at that time, when you switch the alarm off, you turn the phone on. And then you have to put your PIN number in. So on this particular day, I went to put my PIN number and it rejected.
Okay.
And I said, hey, how, I had this phone for 1 year.
Delete 10 times in a day.
So then, I put my PIN in every day. So then I thought, I put another number in and it rejected again. I thought, my God, if I put the wrong number again, it will block the phone. But for the life of me, I couldn't remember the PIN. And so I put another number and phone got jammed.
Okay.
And then I saw here, Krishna gave me a
very practical example.
real life example.
But does forgetfulness?
For me comes forgetfulness. So Krishna is very, very active, very attentive, very involved in the life of the devotee. And this impressed me actually about the devotees. Because when I came to the movement, they would say things like, oh, Krishna arranged. Or, oh, Krishna is playing a joke on us. Or maybe Krishna is telling us a lesson. And they would speak like this very naturally. And actually this blew my mind. Because I never thought that God is someone who is so involved in our life. I thought that God, He is up there. I'm here. As long as I follow all the rules, then He won't do anything bad to me. And I'll be okay with Him. But when the devotees spoke about Krishna, they spoke in such a personal way that Krishna is involved in my life. Krishna has a relationship. I have a relationship with Krishna. And that for me was fascinating. And I really appreciated the devotees, how they would see Krishna in their daily life.
Small things.
Yeah.
Yeah, very amazing experience, Maharaj, that it's difficult to believe that someone who daily put the code, you don't even have to remember the code. Your fingers just go to the mobile and just type the number. And suddenly on that day, Krishna made you understand what actually forgetfulness means, so you never forget about it. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing this wonderful example. Maharaj, you're doing so many services in ISKCON. You're as a GBC, as in management, you're traveling, preaching, writing books, Harinam, and is there anything which you feel you want to do it, but you feel that I'm not getting opportunity to do this service? This is something I wanted to do, but I'm not able to do it.
Yeah. Vrindavan became a great inspiration for me over the years. I first went with His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj many years, over 20 years ago on parikrama. But then what happened after that is for 8 years I never went back to Vrindavan because of services. And then one day I told my spiritual, he asked me, when was the last time you went Vrindavan? I said, Maharaj, I didn't go for 8 years. He said, then you are a ghost.
Okay.
He said, you are living, but you're not living. And then he told me, he gave me instruction. He said, now I want you, every year you must go to Vrindavan, Sri Vrindavan Dham, and take shelter of the Dham. And so, people have that t-shirt, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. So over the years, of course, despite all my material attachments, still Krishna helped me to have some love for Vrindavan, some attachment. And one thing I haven't been able to do so far that I would very much like to do is perform the Vrajamandal Parikrama, walk for the days of Kartik from place to place, and every day serve the Vaishnavas and serve the Brajabasis. Somehow or other, I haven't had the opportunity to do that service, to go to the Dham and serve the places, serve the residents of the Dham. So I hope in my life I will get one opportunity to do that, because ultimately our life is to re-enter the eternal Vrindavan, and by walking the places where Krishna performed his pastimes, and by serving the residents of Vrindavan and those who have captured Vrindavan in their heart, then it helps us to become attached more to Vrindavan. So.
Yeah, I feel that Maharaj, you are actually serving Vrindavan more, by not being in Vrindavan. Wherever you are going, that place is in Vrindavan. You are getting people to Vrindavan, the mood of Vrindavan. But I do get what you're saying, Maharaj. Yes, this is very special, and I feel that almost every senior devotee have this feeling that because of the preaching, they, everyone wants to go in Vrindavan and do bhajan, but they sacrifice all that which they want to do so that they can serve the higher purpose. And you're doing it so well, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Maharaj, we know that you're so close to His Holiness Kadam Kanana Maharaj, and of course you are so close to other senior devotees in ISKCON, Prabhupada's senior disciples, and is there any, or there may be many, but anything you want to mention that you looked at some Swami, maybe Kadam Kanana Maharaj or anyone, what a wonderful, quality he has this. I will also develop this in me, and then you were able to do it, and then you feel that yes,
Yes. It's said that when we meditate on the quality of the Vaishnavas, then to some extent we absorb some of those qualities. In Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, I saw one thing which really impressed me. And that was that he was so deeply connected in his own spiritual relationship with Krishna, but at the same time he was so down to earth, personal, human, and relatable. And for me, this combination was fascinating. Like how someone can be completely in an inner world with Krishna, in a completely different consciousness, but then in this world be able to relate to anyone and everyone. I saw him speak to children and old people. I saw him spoke to Indians and non-Indians, Westerners. I saw him speak to the rich and the wealthy and the very simple and seemingly small devotees. I saw him able to relate in managerial circles, but also then just have Krishna Katha with the Vaishnavas in a room. And so I saw that his personality was incredible, whereby he was very deep, but also very, very humanly relatable. And this was what also impressed me about Srila Prabhupada, that he was with Krishna all the time. But at the same time, he just came to the Lower East Side of New York and he just lived with the hippies side by side and he connected with them. And so in my life, I've tried to do this, tried to become more deeply connected, but also to be very relatable and close to people, and try to be very friendly and kind. And I feel this combination is very, very beautiful.
And I also felt that, Maharaj, I mean, you can relate with corporate people in the corporate programs. You can talk about very deep, philosophical or relishable pastimes of Krishna. And you can do management things, and then you can do all this Brahmanical, analytical, analyzing scriptures and all. So I could feel that you can also, you grab that quality of Maharaj. Last Kartik, sorry, you said? No, I was just saying that last Kartik we were in Vrindavan, and we were looking at His Holiness Kadam Kanana Maharaj. He was doing those wonderful kirtans. Couple of times when I used to stay very close to the temple, just right next to the MVT. And in the morning, I do a couple of times to and fro to the temple. And I saw Maharaj, I obeyed my obeisances. And, within my heart, I knew that, next time when I'll be coming in Vrindavan next year, I may not see Maharaj. There's maybe possibility that I may also not come, but still, from practical perspective. So we both still remember that, Maharaj was leading Kirtan in Kartik month. So energetic, and someone who is having, what we call high stage cancer, and how can someone be so absorbed in kirtan and so loud, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, when he would sing, he would go into actually a different space of consciousness.
Yeah.
Many times he would break harmoniums.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Many times he would also break the mridanga players, because he was always, from the word go, he was in fourth or fifth gear in the kirtan. It would go really. And he actually, he said that when I sing, this is the expression of my heart for Krishna. I think he felt even more than anything in any other way, he could express himself very deeply in the kirtan. And oftentimes he was sick. And I remember coming to some of those Kartik kirtans with him. And on the way there, he would say, no, today I will just do mellow. Today I will take it easy. Today I will just sing, half an hour, and then one of you can take over. And then within 3 minutes of being on the harmonium, you could understand he is giving everything. And one time he came back from a kirtan and he said, I gave every last bit of energy.
Yeah.
He said, it's the duty of the spiritual master to give everything. And he said, I've given all my energy now. I have no more energy left. I've given it all. And you could see that in the kirtan. He would give himself completely. It was very beautiful.
I was hearing his discussion with His Holiness Bhaktivikas Swami Maharaj, and in that also Maharaj mentioned, Kadam Kanana Maharaj mentioned the same thing, that I did what I was supposed to do. I mean, what I was told to do. I never sacrifice my standards. So, and that was the reason he was feeling so completely satisfied, so happy, even being in that situation.
Yeah, till the final days. His journey was very amazing, because actually, as he was in his advanced stage of cancer, he decided no doctors, no treatment, and no even medication, and no even painkillers.
Okay.
So in the last months of his life, there was no medicine. And 30 days before he departed the world, he stopped eating. And then in the last 30 days, there was no medication, no doctors, no treatment. All he was doing was drinking water and basically just hearing and chanting. And it was very, very beautiful example. Srila Prabhupada, when he was leaving the world, he said, this is my final lesson. He said to his disciples, don't think that this won't happen to you. Showing the world how to leave the world with grace and Krishna consciousness. So we were so fortunate to live with Maharaj in those final days and see how in those days he just took shelter of Sri Vrindavan Dham and completely fixed his mind on Krishna. And it was a beautiful conclusion to a beautiful life.
Yeah. Amazing. This will keep inspiring for many, many generations for sure. Yes, Maharaj. One last question, Maharaj. We have so much, Prabhupada has given us so much, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, 12 Canto, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and after that also there's Chaitanya Bhagavat, and we can keep going, and Goswamis and so on. So, being in a grahastha, sometimes it feels like impractical for someone even to complete Prabhupada books, They have to be consistent, and they are, but sometimes they just lost it. Sometimes Prabhupada has so big purpose and so many books, you forget about the previous thing. So what you would suggest someone that who wants to at least study what Prabhupada has written, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, okay, these 3 main books I have to complete. So what should be the right approach for a grahastha who has family, who have kids, who have office, who have temple sevas, who have his own sadhana? So what should be the practically he can complete Prabhupada books?
Yes, I thought about this a lot and spoke to many devotees and tried to understand what is the obstacle, what is the block. And basically, to develop the habit of reading, I came up with the acronym HABIT.
Okay.
And basically, I concluded that there are 5 main obstacles that need to be overcome in order to develop the habit of reading.
Okay.
H stands for hard. Because the devotees find the books too hard to read, they don't develop the habit. A,
Because of social media thing, you mean?
uh,
I mean, reading habit,
no, just that they find the philosophy hard,
philosophy hard, okay.
complex.
Okay.
So they find the books hard to read because of the philosophy is hard.
Okay.
A stands for amount. Because there are so many books, we look at the shelf sometimes, we think, my God, all these books. Amount, this also sometimes for devotees is an obstacle. B stands for boring. If we are honest, then many people will find they read the books and they find them boring, repetitive.
Because they have not developed that taste.
Yes,
for,
yes. Yeah. So I stands for inattention. Generally, the mind is in too many different places and being able to be focused, attention is difficult. And T stands for time, because life is so busy and, there are so many other demands. So I realized that unless we overcome these 5 obstacles, we can't develop the habit of reading. So for the first obstacle, where we find the philosophy hard, what I tell people to do is study with other devotees. When you read with others, then what will happen is your questions will be answered, the things will be clarified, lofty concepts become much easier. For the amount, people say, no, the books are too many. But what they don't realize is if you read a little bit even, but you read every single day, then actually you'll get through the books very, very fast. So for amount, what I tell them to do is download this app called Become a Sage, page by page. There's an app like that. And it tells you that
you mean mobile, there's an app?
There's an app, you can download it.
So what it does?
Become a Sage, page by page. And what it does is it tells you, if you want to finish Krishna book in 2 months, then this is the number of pages you read.
Okay.
Or if you read Bhagavatam 10 pages a day, then this is how long it will take you to finish.
Yeah.
And so to overcome the obstacle of feeling the amount of books to be too much, just make a regular plan every day, even a little bit. Boring, people find the books boring because they don't read the books and try to apply it in their life. So when you ask yourself, I've read this today, how do I now apply this and how will this change my life? When you start applying the knowledge, it becomes more interesting because the knowledge comes alive, it comes to life. Inattention, I tell people overcome that by reading in short bursts. Even if you can't read for like 1 hour, just read for 15 minutes. And one other thing I tell people is use the technique of stacking. Stacking means there's already something in your life that you're definitely going to do every day. So make reading, attach it to that activity. I'll give you an example. Like, say for example, every day you'll take a shower. That's guaranteed. So then what you'd say to yourself is, every day, as soon as I take a shower, I will immediately read for 10 minutes. So you attach the activity of reading to an activity that you're definitely going to do. And in that way, by joining the activity, you'll definitely do it. And T, time.
And your mind also works like that.
Yes.
It's
just routine.
Routine, yeah. You don't have to make an effort. Right after taking bath, your mind itself will, gravitate toward that next activity.
Yeah, because it becomes your second nature.
Right.
And T, time, I just tell them that try to reserve a certain time in the day, and at least try to have a time in the year when you more focusedly you study the books. But set aside some dedicated time for that.
Okay.
And utilize the early morning time as well.
If possible,
if you can. So these, I guess, are some practical tips of how to make reading a habit. Ultimately, Sanatan Goswami, he says, the Bhagavatam is my best friend. The Bhagavatam is my constant companion. The Bhagavatam is my guru. The Bhagavatam is lifting me up. The Bhagavatam is the source of my happiness. And the Bhagavatam is my greatest fortune in my life. Therefore, I offer respects to Srimad Bhagavatam. So one day we want to develop this friendship with the Bhagavatam, that may the Bhagavatam become your best friend and your constant companion.
By the way, since you're talking about this, what is your favorite section in Bhagavatam? Which story, which section? I mean, I know
there are many,
probably
yes,
all, but...
Of course, yes. I like very much one section I find very, very beautiful is the section of the Bhagavatam where, although it's a very, very heart-wrenching scene, when Akrura comes to Vrindavan.
Okay, yeah.
Of course, for some devotees, this is an unbearable scene because of the pain of the gopis. But I find this section in the Bhagavatam is the most emotionally charged.
Yeah.
And it really helps us to develop that sense of desperation and separation from Krishna.
Yeah.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that if we want to perfect our sadhana, then we have to do our sadhana in the mood of deep separation and desperation for Krishna. And therefore, when I read this section of the Bhagavatam, it very much helps me to try to ignite some mood of separation and desperation.
Definitely, Maharaj. I remember a few years back, quite a long back, I was in Mayapur and in the Prabhupada Samadhi Mandir, I was standing there and there was a paintings on the wall that Krishna is leaving and how gopis are trying to stop them. So I was just standing there, I was doing my chanting, and somehow I started looking those paintings, and somehow I started contemplating those and getting into that mood that how they would be feeling, you know. Those devotees, those gopis who could not bear even the blink of their eyes to separation from Krishna, and here they know that Krishna is going and who knows when he will come back. What would be their feeling? And there was a rath and they were stopping the wheel and some gopis are going behind. So after a few minutes contemplating, my heart was so heavy that I felt, oh my God, I cannot imagine that, but how painful it would be for them. So yes, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I don't understand, but I'm trying to understand what you're saying, Maharaj. Yes. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I have so many questions, but I think it's too long, and I know you have a meeting also. But I'm so glad, so humbled, Maharaj, that you have taken your time. I know how busy you are. Your time is so precious. Still, you took your time for all these questions. I'm so happy, and I wish I get more and more of your association and more maybe such interviews, if possible, sometime in the future.
Thank you for all the amazing service that you're doing, and we pray that Krishna bless you with more and more creativity to bring genuine spirituality to people in a way that will touch their hearts and inspire their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Give me your blessings. Please pray for me. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.